Hi, this is Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart, and today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. It's through almost 3:30 Eastern Time as I'm starting the video, so I'm going to do a pretty much an end-of-day market wrap. I'm going to start out with a brief overview on the broad markets. Not a lot to talk about there, so that'll be quick, and then highlight just a few trade ideas. So it won't be a long video. What I'm going to do is actually updates on some of the recently highlighted trade ideas. All right, this chart is the S&P 500 via SPY, and there it is. Secondary trend line broken, back testing right now. I guess that'd probably be the only thing relevant. It's a decent trend line, not the best, but it's again what I call the BOD trend line. We hit it the other day, bounced off the 50, and back testing today. So far, you look at bigger picture, this isn't where the money's been made lately. It's been well, a sideways market now, this whole period right here since we broke that 400-ish level right there with this gap, and we've been moving sideways, and we're closer to the top than the bottom of that range, but so far that's the pattern. You get to the top of the range, go down to the bottom, up top, and we'll see if we have another run down. But as far as the time, we've been in that range now for that's about 2.5 months. QQQ much longer. We've been in this range here. You box it in, it's a larger range. So again, it's been a largely go nowhere market. Slightly upward trending, you can see there. But if you look at where we're at now today, turn off all these levels and pick the high point of today. Looking at where we were back here, that was 4.5 months ago or 4.2 months ago. We're up less than 3% over that period of time. So up, down, up, down. And let's look at the intraday charts, then we'll move on to where we can make money right now or have been making money. Let's look at the futures. Let's go to 60-minute chart. NQ still above trend. This is the trend line covered the other day. So unless we break that, plus the big level to me is also about 14,046 right there. That's that previous high right here. We had multiple highs. So that's that. We need to take out the trend line. And the trend line is certainly probably the most significant level. Depends if and when we break it. If we break it with these divergences still intact, that would indicate a pretty decent correction. Remember, these divergences that we have in place at this point in time are about comparable to those divergences, and these divergences played out for a drop of, let me measure it out for you, that was a drop of, if I can grab the measuring tool, there it is, that was about an 8%, a little better than an 8% drop off that divergent high, and so I wouldn't expect much less. First target down here, 13,736. And then second target zone and potential third target down there about 12,934. That's the NQ NASDAQ 100 futures. ES, we had a nice wedge break right here, bearish rising wedge, breakdown. But so far, what the only thing that's changed here today is now we no longer have a clear downtrend. A downtrend being a series of lower highs and lower lows. We just took out this previous reaction low today, so that kind of muddles up the charts there, and doesn't it doesn't by no means eliminates the case that we're going to take another leg down. It just doesn't help that case. So again, that's the broad markets. Those are the levels to watch. And now let's talk about where it's been a lot easier making money lately. Those things such as I'm going to start with Bitcoin and Ethereum. As you guys probably know if you're watching the video, I put a couple posts out this morning, including in their price targets, which I'll cover under one of the comment sections. I think it was to the first post this morning. I gave posted a chart with bounce targets for the Bitcoin futures, BRR, if that's your thing. So let's pull up. Let's start with Bitcoin. And the easiest proxy to trade, you don't need a futures account to do so or a crypto account, and that would be GBTC. That's Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Hit my third and final target today, and that was we had a low of $24, so almost to the button right there. And that was here was our sell signal back here, so not bad. We were able to get short literally the day after it peaked, and that was also identified as a setup in advance, even before the sell signal. We're watching and waiting for a break of this trend line, And that was it. And simple stuff. If you usually have a reaction at each price target. That's why I list multiple targets. T2 zone or T1 first target zone was hit. It was hit again. It was hit again. And then I highlight it right here when we broke down on that day. That was the 13th of May. Said there's another objective short entry, especially the back test the next day. That was a beautiful short entry if you took it, if you weren't already short, and that was good for 40% drop. If you took this sell signal here, the breakdown at the highs, that was good for about a 56% drop in Bitcoin. So congrats to those that caught it. And now, like I stated, that was and still is the final target I had listed. It doesn't mean we can't go lower, but as I pointed out, we have some potential bullish divergences here on the daily chart of GBTC. We certainly hammered off that level hard. Look at that reversal intraday. If you were able to jump in there from low to high this morning when that target was hit, that's about a 19% turnaround in one day. And I laid out this morning, I believe I did, that would be my first target, the former T2 level. So that's been hit already. And as you can see here on this chart, let me zoom in a little. Let's do it this way. Let's move in my markers here. I'm going to move this over, and then you can see what I've done here. So that was the target, the initial target there. A bounce back to the former second target level, which is about 28.15 or so. So that's been hit. You can take the quick profits and run, but I think there's a decent chance. So it depends. If you're happy with a 10+% gain in a day, nothing wrong with taking profits. Otherwise, you can set stops and let it run and hold out and see if you can hit that T2. I'd say there's a decent chance of it. I cannot rule out another leg down in these cryptos, but I'm leaning towards this right now that we're going to see some more upside up to that second target, which I added since that post this morning. That's about 33.64. That's the actual resistance level. I always set my stop limits, sell limit orders a little below the resistance I'm targeting in case the sellers step in early. So adjust that down a little bit, and that would be our second potential target. Well, let's look at Bitcoin futures before we get to Ethereum. BRR is the symbol for Bitcoin futures, and this used to be a pretty good size hefty contract. They changed it a little while back, and it represents a smaller contract size now. I think it's only about $3,300 a contract, and that was it. I mean, nice reversal. There's the low today, right when you had not just Bitcoin, but also keep in mind also Ethereum hitting one of my price targets at the same exact time. When I see that, knowing that the cryptos move together, that's why I think that was a pretty high probability trade that you had won. Remember in the morning when I posted, Ethereum had fallen to and was at support. Bitcoin had a little more downside, and by shortly after I got that post out, Bitcoin also hit that support while Ethereum was still holding support, and then they both rallied from there. So on Bitcoin futures, that's about a 15% turnaround, so very nice trade. And then here's what we're looking at. This is the chart I posted in the comment section of that post. You have positive divergence right here. Nice positive divergence on the 60-minute chart. And so therefore, I think we might be able to work our way up more, just like you had negative divergence here, which led to that correction, right? Preceded that correction. And you had, I had a little small divergent low right here, positive divergence that led to this rally. So this is it. Here's my targets. I'm going to read them out. Keep in mind that you want to use, I like to use both this chart of the futures as well as GBTC in tandem, because a lot of traders, I imagine there's probably more retail traders especially trading GBTC, and so if one or the other hits support, or I'm sorry, bounces and rallies into resistance, the other may stop there. It's just a matter of the tail wagging the dog. If you have a lot of Bitcoin futures traders selling out, or you have GBT traders selling out, taking profits, that may affect the futures and vice versa. So either way, this would be the first resistance and target. But again, Bitcoin futures, GBTC, I'm sorry, not Bitcoin futures. That's what we're looking at here. GBTC, the trust, it's like an ETF, hit right here. So that's really comparable to that resistance, that former second target on GBTC right there. If it can pop that, there's still the resistance around 33.83. My next target would be 35.795. Then 37.567, and at this point in time, should we get a decent rally going in here, my max target zone, let's just use this line. That's what I drew in that the chart I posted earlier in the comments section under today's first post. 49,914, we'll call that 40,900 or so right there. That would be at this point in time my maximum bounce target, where if we get there, I'd expect a decent reaction or reversal and possibly the end of the run. Again, we could just dump and run down. That's what stops are for. You get a little more flexibility trading the futures than you do on the GBTC due to gaps and all that. ETCG back here and here and here. I was bullish and long. This was a long trade idea, and then highlight it as a short, or get out of it, stop out, sell out, short it, whatever you want. On this breakdown below the trend line, we kicked back and we walked our way down. We were at the 31-ish target recently. I said a solid break below there should open the door for a move down to my next target, 22.44, and that was hit today. Again, almost to the button, and so you had both of these guys, meaning Ethereum and Bitcoin, hitting support at the same time. Now, one reason I can see another leg down, and I'm looking for a counter trend bounce right now, this chart doesn't appear to, Ethereum doesn't appear to have bottomed to me. I'm still leaning towards a move all the way down to this uptrend line, and I have some horizontal support around 1734 or so. So maybe something like this. If we do bounce, I would say just shy of my 31 former target. Call that 30 now. I like 30 better. In fact, I'll put a line there. And that would be a likely bounce target, an objective level to take profits. If you stepped in around 22.44 today, you're talking a move of gain of about 32% if you get it. Doesn't mean we must stop there, but again, that's, I think, a nice target. That's pretty good resistance at this point. I had that level there before, and then we consolidated on it. So where it was support before on the way down, that helped to validate it, the fact that we consolidated on that level so far for so long. And again, I think that line's closer to now about 29.50 or so, give or take. Okay, and then somebody asked me in the comment section about I have what I call Bitcoin proxies, individual stocks that tend to move with it, Riot, Mara, some of those other ones. And somebody asked about Riot. I'm just not crazy about this chart. There's not a lot. I'm preferring to play the bounce trade on the cryptos directly, Bitcoin and Ethereum, than these proxies, at least this one here. You have a downtrend line off the highs. You also have this PPO. I like to use that as a trend indicator, the white line, the 9 EMA, and it's pretty simple stuff. When that white line is above the zero line, the trend is bullish, and when it's below, the trend is bearish. And the zero line will often act as support or resistance when tested from above or below, like it was right here, and then you cross below. So anywho, this one's in a downtrend, and again, there's my thoughts on it. Would I short it? No. Don't want to be long? No. Just there was an objective short op when it bounced back to 38, but I'd rather just stay out of that now. So, all right, let's move on and do a quick update on gold and the dollar. Maybe we'll wrap it up. The U.S. dollar. Let's refresh this chart. Back here, I was bullish and looking for an upside, and we got it. We hit slightly exceeded my final bounce target of 91,977 recently, and just the other day, I believe, including yesterday, I set up looking now probably the end of the run, at least for the time being, in the dollar. Pointed out the negative divergence, and sure enough, that's starting to play out. Nice, pretty impulsive drop in the dollar, and it hasn't been super bullish for gold yet, but I suspect it will once the masses see the dollar's going down. Minimum pullback target is 91.373. That was a target on the way up. You can see we had a little reaction right around there, a little consolidation. I always say a reaction, at least the way I define it, is either a bounce, pullback. If you're on the way up, it's a pullback, and if you're on the way down, if it's support, you get a bounce or a consolidation. That's what we had there. And again, that's a likely target. And I'm quite open to the possibility, I don't have the strongest convictions, that this may be the end of a counter trend rally in the dollar with a new leg down to come. If so, that's going to be quite bullish for gold. Gold, we'll look at GLD and then GC. GC are your gold futures. If I can grab that chart, here we go. And again, kind of going nowhere so far. It's not really responding to that pullback in the dollar. And you can see here I have pretty strong divergence at the recent lows. We also moved off support. If we get another leg down, as I covered yesterday, those divergences will still be intact. So this is a potential scenario, and as long as gold holds above that 1725-ish level, give or take, if it gets there, there's still the potential for a rally, and I'll continue to watch what the dollar does. So, you know, probably not a all-in aggressive long moment on gold, but certainly I like the risk reward. And you know, if you leave a little dry powder, if it goes down, you can add more to it as long as the charts still look good. And then GLD, if you trade the ETF, same story. Gold's at the top of my buy zone right here, and still is. It's consolidating on that. So, you know, that's a pretty decent support level. And that's it. You know, buy it here with a stop somewhat below. You also have you have potential trend line support, and then the bottom of the support zone down around 158, which continue to maintain. That would be an objective level to scale back into, you know, or scale into a long-term position in gold, or back into one if you got out, if we get there, but we may not get there. So that's what I think gold will do, and if it does much more than that, then that's not going to be good if it breaks much below 158. And you know, typically GDX will follow gold. So what you have on GDX, a little back test of a trend line plus that 34.48 resistance. That was actually back here. It's comparable to that buy zone in gold that I had right there, where we had to bounce off the top of it. Then these two tags here, that was mentioned as an objective entry on GDX as well as gold, when gold was at the bottom of the buy zone, and which is really solid support on gold, and also very solid support on GDX. But now we're also at support here, about 34.50. So that would be the bullish scenario for GDX and gold, to see us reverse here. And should it go down, well, that would also be another objective buy point, but bearish, quite bearish if you get a solid break below there, because it is such a good support. And just update it, you know, silver is going to follow gold more or less. Sometimes it'll lag behind, then play a game of catch up. Sometimes it'll lead, and then there's an opportunity, you know, for a pullback in silver, some consolidation while gold catches up. But same story. It's at support. I have support here. It says 23.95, so we can call that roughly 24. It's decent support, and there is a trading range in silver right there. But that's, you know, again, that's my preferred scenario for gold, silver, and GDX, is to rally off these levels. So that's it. Let's just keep this video short, focus on you know, a few things at a time, and you know, I'll continue to highlight what stands out. But as of now, those are really some of the main things that I'm watching at this point in time. All right, this has been Randy Finney with Right Side of the Chart. Have a great day.